Okay, let's go back to the agenda and hear the first case.
And just for clarity, no one is signed up for citizen communication
Thank
tonight. This will be item B1, Gregory H. Bowe, 905 Columbus Street. Applicant is requesting a modification to allow an increase to the maximum gross floor area permitted in Chapter 25-2 of the Land Development Code, Section 2.1, Subchapter F, Residential Design and Compatibility Standards, to install a garage door to an existing attached carport of an existing single-family residence in an SF3 NP zoning district, and this is a continuation of a postponed hearing from January 7th.
Hello again. Before we start, just a question on...
Greg, state your name if you would, please.
This is Greg Bowe,
Okay.
owner of the property.
Okay.
So we have 5 people here tonight of 8, is that right?
5 of 7.
Of 7?
You need 4 votes
Okay.
to get the waiver that you're asking for.
Okay. So is this a normal situation where it proceeds with 5 or?
We will only ever have 6 commissioners from now through June or July. 1 commissioner has resigned. So there may be a circumstance where we have 6 next month. And typically what we'll allow to happen is if we have 4, it's no doubt that you'll be able to have your postponement. With 5, and given that you've been here October and November and January, and you're here again now, I honestly would like to bring this to a resolution for everybody. That being said, if you feel strongly that you'd like to have a postponement again, we can vote on that.
Okay, we can proceed.
All right.
So is it, I have 5 minutes? Is that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so my wife is again on a business trip, so it's my turn to be here. But I just wanted to run over with everyone. Everyone's very familiar with the case, the facts of the case as we stand today. Over the last few months, we've gathered and gotten all the information for this committee that was requested. Again, from the beginning, we've worked with our neighborhood association as well as our neighbors on this process. Where we're at now with the updated numbers, I wasn't aware that the committee discards the information per meeting, so I have the updated numbers in a PDF on file if anyone wants to reference that. But again, this is not a case where we tried to maximize FAR. The numbers show that. We did, after the fact, add the garage, but we have additional FAR that we could have used. We didn't maximize impervious cover. We actually didn't take the full carport exemption. Looking at the numbers when we built it before the 15-foot height ceiling requirement was there. Neighborhood association took a no position on the case, and really what I'd like to emphasize is we have 52 supporting neighbors for this case, 22 which are immediately adjacent to our house. These are our neighbors. These are some of them are members of the association, people who have to look at our house and live in our area every day. And I'd like for this committee to please strongly consider all the current merits and facts of this case, as well as these 52 people's opinion. This is something that we have to explain to them going forward as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, public hearing is closed. Okay, commissioners, discussion, questions?
So my understanding is none of these square footage numbers have changed? Nothing has changed?
If we want to go to page, because I wasn't aware that you don't keep the material, so can you go to page 2 or 3 on this presentation? These are the updated calculations with the 15-foot that my wife presented last meeting. So including you had asked for the new FAR numbers with double counting the 15-foot height. So what we're asking for within this committee's purview is 5.4 percentage points over the allowable FAR.
So remind me, this was built during the time that the two-story didn't count twice? But now, because you're coming back for another permit, it's looked at differently? Is that right?
If you're asking for a calculation of the current gross floor area of the building, then yes, we would count the 15-foot area twice. They effectively, their house existing, ignoring the garage to car or carport to garage issue, would basically be deemed a legally non-complying structure. It was built in compliance with the code at the time it was applied for. It wouldn't be able to be built that way today.
Right, but for them to enclose the garage, you're going to need the 5.4% is what you're saying, because you're going to need the waiver for both the 158 and for the garage. Is that right?
They would be
To get the
requesting a
permit.
waiver based on today's calculation of gross
Right,
floor
so you need the 5.4. Understand. If there are 54 people in favor, are there any people opposed to this?
I'd like to point out in the letters of, there are three. I'd like to point out that the letters of support don't, and I don't know that it would materially matter, but it might, is that the letters of support are not issued by the city, and that the request for approval is based on .44 FAR, not the recalculated FAR. Again, I don't know that matters, but it is not exactly what we're looking at tonight.
Correct. It's 0.47
No, I
with
would
the
say
new calculation.
your letters
Yeah.
to your neighbors are telling them it's .44.
Sure.
And I understand, as I say, I prefaced all that.
But if I'm allowed to respond,
Actually,
no. Okay.
we've closed this. We'll ask you questions, but beyond that, we're fine.
I kind of hate to say this, but if this many people are in support of this, the McMansion ordinance can be modified in a neighborhood plan area. So this neighborhood could come along and decide to have .45 FAR or to exempt double garages on the front if they wanted to do that. And it seems like what we're being presented with is, well, everybody thinks this is great. So if that's the case, the neighborhood needs to change their plan. I'm not sure that all of these people understand what the exact issue is and that this started out to be a building in compliance. All they understand is that in order to have the door on your garage, you're going to have to get a waiver. And that's too simplistic for me.
May I make a comment? I would hate for this to start a tsunami of garage doors appearing on carports, and that's one of the reasons that I find this a little upsetting. To my mind, it kind of undermines McMansion, regardless of whether you can change it in your, the FAR in your neighborhood plan or not. So I'm not supporting this.
Commissioner, I think one of the other issues is the idea that this seems to have been done with intent, and I don't necessarily imply that the applicant has done that,
Right.
but the house was designed with that intent. And I think that makes it a little more serious an encroachment than simply someone trying to enclose their garage after the fact, or during the course of their living in a house on a particular property. This was done with that in mind, and the intent all along was basically to subvert or to deceive the land development review.
And I find that very disturbing about our ordinances, and to have builders be deceitful like that, that's not good.
But that's a separate issue. That's not this issue. That's an issue of addressing when
And that's what we're doing later on. We are trying to rectify that, and we've begun to do that over the last couple of months. I agree. The point that Commissioner Engel made, though, was that all of a sudden, as you set this precedent, it's you have no recourse.
But
You know,
if we have 52 people in the neighborhood who say that they're okay with it, then it's their neighborhood. They're not renters, they're owners.
But you might have 52 more cases that come before the RDCC for a waiver. That's what I'm saying. So it would present
the
a
neighborhood needs
tsunami.
to, but the neighborhood understands that. If they allow one, they're opening the door for everybody. I
Right.
would think that they would understand.
I'm not necessarily sure that that's the case, honestly. And the neighborhood has had discussions. I will, since I live in the neighborhood, I will mention to you the neighborhood has had discussions with respect both to smaller lots and not necessarily with respect to greater FAR. But I know that the neighborhood, for years has been, frankly, inundated with houses that are designed to the maximum possibility.
Oh, sure.
And find generally, I would say that the neighborhood at least found them objectionable for the last time that the bulk of the neighborhood weighed in. That being said, yes, Commissioner McGraw makes a good point. Yes, the FAR can be changed, and frankly, our purview is specific context, and it is, a situation that we deal with in other cases with other immediate neighbors. We're not making a decision necessarily for a neighborhood, and if there are a huge preponderance of immediately adjacent neighbors that seem to say they want this, whether they're fully aware of the ramifications or not, that is the context. There are 3 letters of opposition.
I see 4.
Oh, you saw 4? Okay, I missed
And
one.
there were, I found about 40 in favor in the backup, and they all say resident. They don't say property owner, so I don't know if some of them are likely to be, whether it matters or not, some of them are likely to be residents, but possibly not property owners.
Some of them say resident.
Says resident,
Oh.
form letter they had.
There are 4.
And I can't tell how close they are to this site. I think there's a
There.
map, but I can't seem to make that out.
All right, so 2 of them live together.
There's a map that has to be
All right. Do we have a map of
Yeah.
locations of support?
Yep. Pick it up.
Where are the objections?
Not sure if you have this in your packet right now. We can put it on the overhead.
Do you have a page number on it?
No. Sorry, I just found out tonight that it was one of those additional things that were given on the previous meeting, so I
What is
didn't know
it?
that those
I'm
were.
sorry, pardon me. 76?
I don't think, it's the very first one that's not.
Okay.
Because we, over the last few times, we've given different material, more updated material.
76. 76.
Well, 913 James is somewhere over here.
74 and 75 are object, 72 is object, and then 71 is object.
I also have all originals of the 52 here, if anyone wants.
So have you gone out and gotten additional letters? This says 39 supporting letters.
Correct, yeah. The updated map was submitted during a previous hearing.
All right.
And this is the most updated one here on the screen. So everyone with a green star was this one of the signed letters of support I have here. And then the blue circles are verbal confirmation of non-opposition, so they didn't want to go either way. And this is highlighting the immediate neighborhood, and then there are some outside of this map here, totaling 52.
Mr. Reddish is- Did the city provide this form that says as a resident?
No, actually, this is something that's the point I was making earlier.
I missed that.
We good? Is there a motion?
I move that we deny the waiver.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right. All right, the motion has been made to deny the request by Commissioner McGraw. Commissioner Engel seconds. Is there any discussion? Okay, the motion needs 4 votes to support it. If you'll call the roll.
Lucy Katz,
No.
Keith Jackson, William Burkhart,
Yes.
Mary Engel,
Yes.
Karen McGraw.
Yes.
Motion fails. Is there another motion?
I make a motion to accept.
Commissioner, it looks to me as though that's not going to pass either. We can try that. I think the best course of action right now is that's why I wanted to go over the legal document legal response before we got into this. It looks to me as though the best course of action right now is to make no decision, to vote. The motion should possibly be no decision, and then that decision at least can be appealed. Otherwise, we'll be here back and forth on this all night.
Then I'll make a motion to make no decision.
And actually, I'll second that since
I
I
think we
made the
just
motion
did
the
that,
last time.
though. Didn't we just do that?
We
We
did
did
at
make
the
no
last
decision.
meeting.
Well, we
did that
have
last
not.
time.
We have a motion that's failed. And we
So
can
we've
ma-
made
we-
no
and-
decision.
Well, and right now, we've made no decision. We can also take this motion to approve the waiver, and that will fail.
My point was just that I think I don't know that you need to take an action to say you're not taking action.
There, I disagree.
I
Okay.
think you do.
Commissioner Engel, you
Yeah, I think you have
back
to.
me up on
Yes,
that, don't you?
I
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
I do. 'Cause otherwise, it looks like we're shirking our duties.
Exactly. So the motion right now to take no action, Commissioner Katz, and it's been seconded by Commissioner Engel. Any other discussion?
That gives him the opportunity to appeal.
It gives him the opportunity to appeal and/or go to the Board of Adjustment. If you'll call the roll.
Okay. Keith Jackson,
Yes.
Karen McGraw,
Um, no.
William Burkhart,
Yes?
Mary Engel,
Yes.
Lucy Katz.
Yes.
All right. Greg, you can go appeal this motion if you care to. Are you going to the Board of Adjustment?
Oh, well, right now we were scheduled for March, so we'll have to make a decision. But thanks for your time.
All right, thank you.